With us, joining us on the panel, Jamil Jaffer. He's a founder of the National Security Institute, former counsel to the Assistant Attorney General for National Security. It's good to have you with us. What did you read in that intelligence bulletin that should cause concern for the authorities?
Well, look, I think we've known for a long time that ISIS and al-Qaeda have sought to inspire attacks in the United States, in Europe, conducted by Americans, by Europeans in their home countries as an effort to bring terror directly to the populations in our allied nations. And so what we're seeing here now is an individual who appears to have acted on his own. Doesn't appear that he was directed by ISIS, although we still don't know for sure. But the effort is succeeding. We've seen efforts like this before in the United States. For example, we've seen Nidal Hasan, Major Nidal Hasan, also an Army officer who conducted an attack at Fort Hood a number of years ago. So these things are not unheard of. But the terrorist chatter is at unexpected heights before, even higher than before 9/11 at this point. And so there's a deep concern in the intelligence community and the national security community, not just in the United States, but in Europe as well, that these attacks are just the beginning of a larger trend as these organizations seek to go outside their own borders and really focus on hitting the United States and Europe. We saw, obviously, the terrible attack in Germany at the Christmas market. I fear that there's more to come.
Yeah, because you don't have to be particularly skilled, do you, to use a vehicle in this way? Certainly, it's alarmingly simple to do what this man did. The mass killings that we've seen have become commonplace, sadly, in the United States, and they have spanned Republican and Democratic administrations alike. The perpetrator on this occasion was an American citizen. Do you think it's wise, as Donald Trump has done, to put the blame on Joe Biden?
Well, look, I mean, there's always recriminations. You could say that the New Orleans police should have put up more bollards and ensured the bollards were in place and working. You could say they should have put a bigger truck in front of that street, and he might not turn down that street, although he might not turn down another one. They should have identified this individual and identified that he was radicalized. He'd been in the military for 13 years, right? How do we identify those kind of people, right? At the same time, you could say that the President Trump has made points about open borders and about immigration. Of course, that's not relevant to this attack, but there are significant numbers of terrorist encounters at the border at heightened numbers that we've seen just in the last few years. So there are very real challenges the United States and our friends in Europe face when it comes to terrorism. But the reality is that the responsibility doesn't fall in the hands of one person or the like. At the end of the day, you do have to hold the President of the United States accountable when a terrorist attack happens. But a lot of things had to go wrong for this to happen. And to be very candid with you, as our friends in Israel have long learned, if you have a committed attacker who's willing, or multiple attackers who are willing to take their own lives, it is nearly impossible to stop that attacker from conducting a major attack, including, but not limited to, a mass casualty attack.
Let's bring in our panel, because I want to open up the discussion to the politics. Abel, let me start with you. There were two things that this raised a debate on. One, again, was American infrastructure. Here you have bollards that were half down, half up. They couldn't be used because they hadn't been updated in time for the Super Bowl. And then there's the role of the FBI. You have an agent who comes out initially and says it's not a terrorist attack, even though she's telling us about improvised explosive devices. And then you get Donald Trump Jr. saying it's not a terrorist attack, it's just a mostly peaceful improvised explosive. It thrusts the FBI right back into the political debate. And that's why Donald Trump thinks he needs Kash Patel.
Christian, this breaks my heart, and not only just mine, obviously the people that around the country and the world. I mean, how do you prevent this? Here's a person who was in the military. Every time I meet somebody who served in the military, I say, thank you for your service. So right off the top, I think, this person's served his country. He loves his country. And that's not the case. So it's just very, very difficult. The authorities have to be right on every single thing to prevent one of these things. They have to be right one time. I saw videos of his home. His home looked like a clean, good home. It's just mind-boggling, Christian, to see that someone who has issues wants to take other people with them. I'm stunned, to be honest with you. And I'm here trying to answer your questions, just thinking of, my God, the victims, the family, our country, the city was celebrating New Year's Eve, ready for a big next game, a big college football game. And look at this, Christian. I'm just stunned. And we have to figure this one out. And we have to figure out as Republicans and Democrats and as Americans, what do we need to do to stop this?
100%. I think everybody would agree with that. Annika, do you think, in mind of how it's thrust the FBI back into the spotlight, that this ensures Donald Trump's national security picks go through unchallenged, that ultimately they're now confirmed?
I think that there's been a lot of horse trading with his picks ahead of Congress convening, because nobody in an all Republican situation wants to have a big fight and a lot of, tension and problems in the actual confirmation process. They want to sort that out ahead of time. So we saw Representative Matt Gaetz was withdrawn. We're seeing a lot of, Robert Kennedy faced a lot of scrutiny. He's still hanging in there, but we'll see if he continues for some of his unorthodox theories. But with these terrorist attacks, I think it is important to just look at where is America's relationship with its institutions, right? The congressman was mentioning the military. This man served for 13 years, and yet he doesn't love his country. Well, I mean, he also is of Islamic faith, and some of the policies that the military has veered into that conservatives have rightly criticized recently in the past few years, particularly under President Biden, may have contributed to his sense of alienation from an institution that he was aligned with previously. And we also remember there was another attack. It has not been ruled terrorism, but a man blew up a Cybertruck in front of Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. Initially, people wondered if that was a terrorist attack. And now they're saying that it's not. But what I'm seeing online is, and this is to the point about the FBI, a lot of people don't trust that the FBI is telling the truth, that the conclusions that it's coming to are trustworthy, that they can take that and believe it. And so both the military and the FBI are institutions that I think reflect a larger distrust Americans have in our institutions that President Trump and Republicans really need to tackle.
Sadly, we are out of time. Jamil and Jaffer, thank you very much for being with us on the programme tonight. Abel, Annika, lovely to have your company as well. We shall do this again